Welcome back, friends. Another big hour of Friday Live on this Friday, October 17th. I'm Jim.
And this is Cheryl, and we welcome you back.
And if you're just joining us, welcome. If you're joining us from the first hour, welcome back. And this hour, of course, as we do every Friday program at 5 o'clock, we do the gospel reading for this coming Sunday, which is the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And Dr. Scott Hahn will give the reflection. And then our guest later on this hour is Chris Deibert, and he's the director of music, of sacred music, and organist for the cathedral here in Metuchen.
Right. Also the director of music for the entire Diocese of Metuchen. He's our leader.
Okay.
And we follow the leader. And he's going to talk about a great event coming up next week, so you can be informed about all things sacred music. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, so we'll begin with our gospel for this coming Sunday, the 29th Sunday, in Ordinary Time.
And we have a gospel from Luke. Jesus told his disciples a parable about the necessity for them to pray always without becoming weary. He said there was a judge in a certain town who neither feared God nor respected any human being. And a widow in that town used to come to him and say, "Render a just decision for me against my adversary." For a long time the judge was unwilling, but eventually he thought, "While it is true that I neither fear God nor respect any human being, because this widow keeps bothering me, I shall deliver a just decision for her, lest she finally come and strike me." The Lord said, "Pay attention to what the dishonest judge says. Will not God then secure the rights of his chosen ones who call out to him day and night? Will he be slow to answer them? I tell you, he will see to it that justice is done for them speedily. When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?" The word of the Lord.
Thanks. Praise to you,
Lord Jesus Christ.
What's the secret to effective prayer? This Sunday's readings survey the great masters of prayer and come back with a consistent answer. You want to know how to pray like the great ones? Join me next on Breaking the Bread. The Lord is our guardian, beside us at our right hand, interceding for us in all of our spiritual and physical battles. In this week's psalm, we're told to lift our eyes to the mountains, that our help will come from Mount Zion and the temple, the dwelling of the Lord who made heaven and earth. In our first reading, Joshua and the Israelites are also told to look to the hilltops. They are to find their help there through the intercession of Moses as they defend themselves against their mortal foes, the Amalekites. Notice the image. Aaron and Hur standing on each side of Moses, holding his weary arms up so that he can raise the staff of God above his head. Moses appears here as a figure of Jesus, who also climbed a hilltop, and on Mount Calvary stretched out his hands between heaven and earth to intercede for us against the final enemy, sin and death. By the staff of God, Moses bested Israel's enemies, parted the Red Sea, and brought water from the rock. The cross of Jesus is the new staff of God, bringing about a new liberation from sin, bringing forth living waters from the body of Christ, which is the new temple of God. Like the Israelites, and like the widow in this week's gospel, we face opposition and injustice, at times from godless and merciless adversaries. So we too must lift our eyes to the mountains, to Calvary, and to the God who will guard us from all evil. We must pray always and not be weary by our trials, Jesus tells us today. As St. Paul exhorts us in this Sunday's epistle, we need to remain faithful, to turn to the inspired Word of God, given by our Lord to train us in righteousness. We must persist so that when the Son of God comes again in kingly power, he will indeed find faith on earth. This is Scott Hahn for Breaking the Bread.
Breaking the Bread is a production of the St. Paul Center for Biblical Theology. If you'd like to receive written copies of Dr. Hahn's reflections on the Sunday Mass readings, you can contact us by email at staff@salvationhistory.com or call us at 740-264-9535. That's 740-264-9535.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of hell will never prevail. God's justice and peace will sustain, for God's perfect love shall reign.
All you who thirst, come to the water. Without money, come eat and drink. Why waste your money on foolish things? Why spend your wages on what fails to satisfy? Ascend the mountain of the Lord. Live the love of God.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of hell will never prevail.
God's justice and peace will sustain. For God's perfect love shall reign.
All you who labor, come to the water. All you weary, come and find rest. Why tire for foolish things? Why give your labor for what fails to satisfy? Ascend the mountain of the Lord. Live the love of God.
On this mountain, the Lord will provide. On this mountain, the Lord will destroy death forever, and the power of hell will never prevail. God's justice and peace will sustain, for God's perfect love shall maintain justice and do what is right. For soon God's salvation shall come. God's deliverance will then be
All you forsaken, come to the water. All the broken, come and find joy. Why give your life for foolish things? Why put your trust in what fails to satisfy? Ascend the mountain of the Lord.
All righty, welcome back. And coming up a little later on this hour, Chris Deibert, who is the director of sacred music for the entire world.
Well, if your world is Metuchen,
Oh,
then it's the entire
I'm
world.
just reading his little bio.
He's
you
been
said.
around the
Oh,
world.
around the
You
world.
have to read
Oh,
all
sorry.
of it. Yeah. But we're going to let Chris tell us about that himself.
Okay. You mentioned, I think we talked about it last week, up at the Padre Pio shrine up in Bartow.
Yeah.
They were some of the friars from Italy came over and brought Padre
From
Pio's.
San Giovanni Rotondo.
his habit.
That's right. They brought a habit of Padre Pio's as a relic, obviously, to be revered. And some other things, but most likely a glove or I'm not sure exactly what else, but they just said the big thing was that it was his entire robe. And then they said, and other relics. But people came. I did not get to go. Our niece went there.
My brother David, and his daughter went.
Right. And
And
they
he said it was pretty crowded.
packed, and they have a huge parking lot, but you had to park quite a distance away. There were many lines. It's a huge property if you've not been there. These beautiful shrines are treasures right in our own backyard. And there's an upper church with mass and devotions, all sorts of things going on all the time. They'll bring in speakers and such. And then the lower church, they have an exact replica of the chapel in San Giovanni, where his famous confessional. When you stand in that lower chapel, you think you're in the one in Italy, because we had the privilege to be there. And it's beautiful. And then in another section, there's what looks like part of his home, his bedroom. This is what it looked like. And they just refabricated it. And then you could spend hours there. There are letters that he wrote, letters to him, a lot of his liturgical items, again, relics,
His actual stuff.
chalices that he used. Yeah, I mean, he was
Well, David, my brother said that they had a little band playing Italian songs
really
called the Pio Trio.
Oh, how cute is that? Oh my goodness,
I don't know what that had to do
the
with
Pio
the
Trio.
Pio Trio.
Were they singing sacred hymns?
He said they were playing Italian songs.
Like you imagine, you walk the streets of Italy and you expect to hear the accordion or, the
But
organ
then-
grinder.
Then my brother made a joke and he said I could have it and I could use it, but I'll give him credit for it. He made this up. 'Cause I asked him, I said, it sounds like this was banter between the members of the Pio Trio, maybe between the songs. He goes, no, I made this up myself. What do you call the lowliest friar in Padre Pio's order? Padre Pion.
Oh, dear. That's wonderful. See?
I give credit to my brother. He said I could have it, but I give him credit.
Yeah.
He made that up.
Very good, David. Very, very good. I tell you, there are creative people among us.
Yes, so.
Standing in that long line, he had time to think.
I had the time to think to make up jokes about it.
People had, once I knew that was happening, I went on the website and they were saying, to make a reservation if at all possible. People were bringing buses from Connecticut and New York and all over the place. I mean, it was a big deal.
Yet, and we've talked about this right across the river here from Trenton over in Holland, PA, Central Bucks County, is the official archdiocesan shrine to Padre Pio
Right.
at St. Bede the Venerable Parish.
Much smaller.
Smaller, obviously. It's at a parish.
Beautifully done.
Beautiful parish, though, because they have a perpetual adoration chapel there.
Right. And this is really devoted to Padre Pio and his Eucharistic life. It's, again, a lot of pictures, a lot of things that you could read, some relics, and just a quiet prayer chapel. Very, very beautiful. Stories of miracles.
And
that
you
have
can
taken
go there. I
place.
mean, I think, didn't Monsignor Marine say,
It's open all the time.
is it open all the time? They have to make arrangements to.
No, if you were to bring a group, he would like to meet you. You
Oh,
have
okay.
15 people. He'd like to give you a little official tour and welcome you. But if you and a couple of others just want to go, that's Holland, PA.
Yeah, St. Bede the Venerable Parish.
Beautiful.
And not far from a lot of our listening area here in,
But you think about now, you grew up in New Jersey, New Brunswick. When was the first time, although your dad was good about this, about like historical places, how long was it before you went to the Statue of Liberty?
Oh, yeah, we were kids. Well, we used to live up in North Jersey. We were about 5 miles from the Washington Bridge, so it was we were basically. And I remember we have pictures of us in I can tell you the year 1963 on the ferry to the statue.
Wow.
My father took us.
Now, I was in Spotswood, but, just a stone's throw from New Brunswick, if you know that area. And I didn't get to the Statue of Liberty until I was in 8th grade, and it was a school trip. I mean, my point is these places,
They're there. You just
we
know
they're there,
Yeah.
but do you go?
Go, no.
And I have to put another shout out to Our Lady of Czestochowa in Doylestown. We lived in Bucks County
Mm-hmm.
for how long? We just never made the time to go up there.
No.
Was it 40 minutes, 45 minutes? And my goodness, you can spend forever there.
Mm-hmm.
Upper church, lower church, all the side chapels and altars and grounds, and
Mm-hmm.
it just goes on. And these, and people save all their coins and they have to make that European pilgrimage, which is all fine and good. But if you're not ready to get on a plane for a 7-hour drive, take an hour. And now, especially in the fall, the leaves are so beautiful and the weather's so great. Go to one of these sites, especially on the weekend in Doylestown at Czestochowa, Saturday and Sunday. There's a museum there to John Paul II and a lot of, the Polish history. The cafeteria is open. I discovered pierogies for the first time in my life.
I can't believe that.
I know.
Your grandmother was Polish.
I know. Well, we had our fill of babka and dumplings and kielbasa.
I remember her babka was very good.
That's right.
And
Made with love.
the first Easter we were dating, you were living with her because you had just come back. We just started dating, and I came over Easter Sunday after Mass or something. Maybe we went to Mass together or pick you up for Mass. And she had the sliced kielbasa.
Yes. It's a staple. You must.
Sliced, which is basically sausage. Now, do you eat it?
I do. I love it.
Then you don't eat. I make sausage and peppers. You won't eat them.
Maybe it's the tomato sauce.
I
don't
make
know.
it. I make it without tomato sauce.
Yeah. Is it the same taste as the sausage? Have like a
Tastes better.
Yeah.
Italian sausage tastes better than kielbasa.
Well, one day we'll have a little taste test. I will personally go to Czestochowa and buy some kielbasa.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a market. You can buy all sorts of things. So,
I made my chicken parm yesterday.
mm,
You'll taste it tonight when we go home.
I will.
I was enjoying that. You came up and said it takes you a long time. I don't mind doing it though.
Mm.
I enjoy
I guess it's like a hobby, right?
cooking. Yeah, it is kind
That's
of a
one
hobby.
good thing that came out of the pandemic. When was the last time I had to cook? This is marvelous. Oh, he bought new
I
pots
enjoy
and
it.
pans. He's a regular
I have
Martha
my knife
Stewart.
set. I have my spatulas.
Mhm.
I made biscotti last weekend. I'm enjoying it.
Well, good.
As I said
And
to,
so am I.
I said to our daughter Angela a while back, I said, even though you get older, you should always learn new things.
Mm-hmm.
You should learn new things just to keep you fresh. And
She's
cooking
starting. Oh, I was going to say she's starting to learn Spanish.
for what reason?
Just because.
Oh.
Well, I was with her in New York, and we were in the subway, and a gentleman came up to her and started speaking in Spanish. Obviously, was asking directions on the train, and she was able to fumble through an answer. Now, whether she gave him the right answer, I don't know, but she was using her Spanish.
I mean, he assumed she spoke Spanish.
I don't know. I don't know.
When we're in Italy,
Mm.
I'll always make an attempt to speak Italian.
You try.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
because
but you
I'm
were good, though. You studied. What was that? You had an app.
I had the app, and I just loaded it again on my phone. The Duolingo, or what's it
Okay.
called?
Yeah, there's so
But I'm a
many.
little concerned about it because I was going through phrases the other night about mio marito and my husband, my wife. No, it was the conversation. Unfortunately, went no, that's not my husband. Anyway, it alluded to the fact that it was a same-sex couple.
Oh, gee.
I forget how it was worded, and I thought, ooh,
Even Duolingo has gone woke.
that's not good. That's not. I don't pay for it, so if I did pay for it, I wouldn't use it.
Right.
I wouldn't give my money. But I was concerned about that.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that.
They sneak the agenda in wherever they
I
possibly
want to see.
can.
That doesn't happen in Italy, by the way. They don't talk that way in Italy.
No.
They don't. That would never fly. The thing about the Italian language and Spanish is the same. It's gender specific. The articles and things. So you have to say, the article has to agree with the gender of the subject.
The same thing in German.
Oh, really?
It's D-I-E, or der. depending if it's feminine or masculine. There's
So
no
they would-
general.
Right.
I don't
Like
even know
here
how to
you can say
describe
the
it.
man, the woman, and it's the same order. But in Italy, and in Spanish, you say in German,
It has
it has
to
to be, has to you know, jibe with the with the subject.
with the gender.
Yeah.
Right. And there's
Interesting.
nothing in between. So there you
No,
go.
I wonder how they do that. I guess they don't do that. Maybe they do. I don't know. We were talking about coming and seeing sites. Remember our good friend of happy memory, God rest his soul, Father Richard Koskier from Kenya.
Yes.
The first time we took him to New York, I remember we were sitting we were walking around near Rockefeller Center. I remember he sat down and he goes, I cannot believe my feet are touching the streets of New York City.
Yes,
He was so thrilled.
yes.
And I
It
had
was so from the countryside in Africa.
yeah, to all of
you
a
know,
sudden
undeveloped.
be. Yeah,
And then a city.
yeah. And he was just walking around New York and he was just in awe. He couldn't.
But then maybe he stayed. Were we watching something like a marathon, or maybe there was a marathon there, and I could tell the runners.
No,
were-
it was people walking. People walking in the city. I could tell you which ones are from are Kenyan.
just in their
Just the way they walked.
yeah, just in their posture and mannerisms.
That's a Kenyan. He's from Kenya. I can tell. How do you know that? By the way he walks. I can tell he's Kenyan. Even if he wasn't from Kenya, but was of Kenyan descent, would have the same walk. Father Richard would know.
Isn't that was amazing? And then our children now, they were young, middle school, elementary school, and junior high, and they would have these Game Boys or whatever was popular at the time.
Yeah, little Game Boys.
little electronic
yeah.
handheld games, right? And he thought, you come to Kenya, and they would think you are a magician.
Yeah, you're a wizard. They would
wizard,
think you're a
that's-
wizard
Yeah.
if you had that, because it would be totally foreign to them.
Yes, just no concept at all.
The boys were playing in the back seat of the car. We were going somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he said, you come to Kenya and bring that, they will think you're a wizard.
Yeah. It was fascinating.
It really was.
That's
And God rest, he was young. He had a heart condition.
Oh, God bless his
And he wanted to bring Catholic radio to Kenya. That's how we got to know him. We had to kind of mentor him a little bit. And then he did pass away. But then Halloween, he thought Halloween was so funny because it was a beautiful. The weather was great that year.
Right.
We were all sitting on the porch, and the costumes, not the ghoulish things, but the cute little kids,
yeah.
with their fairy dresses on and things. And I went inside. The guy said, "You have to have a costume, Father." He had his collar on. I said, "Let me give you a hat." He put a hat on anyway. And he would put the candy in the bag. Remember, I am Father Richard from Kenya. Happy Halloween.
Yes.
He put the candy in the bag.
Yes.
He thought that was so funny. He never heard of it. Never.
No, couldn't. He
Totally
was just
foreign.
laughing all night. He
Yeah.
just couldn't believe that kids would come up and you'd give them candy.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. He was great. He was great. He was wonderful. And he would tell us these wonderful stories about his mission in Kenya, like walking from village to village just to say a mass on a Sunday.
Under a tree.
Under a
People
tree,
would gather
yeah.
and they'd bring up the gifts and they would give him food and
The
vegetables.
offertory
and
would be
fruit.
his sustenance and his fellow priest's sustenance for their journey to the next village.
Walking.
Vegetables and non-perishable food and things that they could take with them to eat along the way.
We forget that there are lives like this,
Yeah.
We stop and think. We
Yeah.
take so much for granted. What we
Yeah,
have.
yeah. He was, but again, his main purpose was he wanted to bring Catholic radio back to Kenya, and he had studied in Rome, so he spoke fluent Italian.
Mm-hmm.
He was, was fluent in Italian because he went to not North America, no, Pontifical University in Rome. He was studying there, so he knew Italian, and he could speak it very well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he was, and I took him to the Statue of Liberty.
That's right, you did.
I did take him, and he was there too, just in awe that he couldn't believe he was standing here, the symbol of America to
Right.
these other countries, the Statue of Liberty. And, he's
And
right
how we
there.
drive up and down the turnpike and don't even glance over. Yeah, it's over there.
he would. Remember we were in an Italian restaurant, having lunch or dinner, and he ordered chicken. Remember?
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then he said, "May I see the head?" And the waitress said, "Excuse me, may I see the head?" And he started laughing, because in Kenya, if you order chicken per se,
It's really fresh.
you want to make sure that it really is chicken you're getting, and they'll show you the head. This is the chicken. Here's the head. I just killed the chicken.
And then he would get milk, and it had to be warm.
Oh yeah, warm
It
milk.
was so much fun.
Yeah, it was so interesting.
Really opened our eyes,
But he
and our
talked about-
children were fascinated.
He talked about big fat American stomachs too.
Yeah.
He made a
He
comment about big. He remember he said big fat. I have to feel my big fat American stomach.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
All right.
yes.
Well, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Deibert. Do you go by Chris or Christopher?
Let's call
Well,
him Chris.
You introduce.
Yeah, okay.
You know him.
I'll call him Chris.
I'll just kind of stand in the background for a little bit while you talk shop.
All right, we will.
All right.
Stay tuned.
So we'll be back. Don't go away, friends. There's lots more to come here on Friday Live, and we'll be right back.
In the faith of Christ we walk hand in hand, light before our path as the Lord has planned, shining the torch of faith in our land. In the name of Christ Jesus.
Well, the drum rolls.
And
for-
certainly no companions on the journey.
No, that's right. We don't bring out the big choir and the big orchestra and the temps for just anybody. I am honored and blessed to introduce our next segment here with Christopher Deibert. He is the director of sacred music and organist for the Cathedral of St. Francis of Assisi in Metuchen, also the director of liturgical music for all the Diocese of Metuchen. Prior to his appointment at this post, he was director of music and organist at St. Mary's in South Amboy. I know we have listeners from there. Hopefully they're tuning in to hear a familiar voice. He was there for over 23 years He's an active organ and harpsichord recitalist, and I could go on. He's a legend in his own time. Did you know that? Welcome, Chris.
Hello, Cheryl. Hello, Jim. Thanks
Hello.
for having me on. What an introduction. I'm not sure I deserve all that, but thank you.
But, we have to tap into the experts when we're going to talk about the history of sacred music, especially where it pertains to the Roman Catholic liturgy. And you've been involved in this. Many have been involved in this, but they're not as, what do I want to say, educated, informed, well-versed. And so what we're trying to do at St. Magdalene's is, and we can give you all the details, but next week, Chris is going to come to our parish and talk about this very thing, sacred music, yesterday, today, tomorrow. And we only have 15 minutes here. Next week, we'll have over an hour. But how do you get all of that into, we're looking at over 2,000 years of music. How do you even begin to say, well, the readings this Sunday are this, and this is what I'm going to use?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're going to be covering so much material on Tuesday night.
Good.
I guess I'm going to talk really, really fast.
That's okay.
Because to your point, it's even over 2,000 years. The history of sacred music really, for us, goes back to the most ancient times, the most ancient people. Really, even back to the days of when the music in ancient Greece was being looked at as a liberal art before it became a sacred fine art in the temple in Jerusalem and in other synagogues. And our tradition comes from that, essentially, at least initially. So there's quite a bit that we'll be talking about.
And I think a lot of people assume, well, okay, Catholic sacred music, it started with Gregorian chant. But that's an excellent point. I'm forgetting about BC and the Greeks. I mean, look at Kyrie eleison. That's Greek.
Yeah, sure, exactly right. And of course, our very first masses were in Greek in the early days of the church, and Latin came on along about the 2nd, 3rd century for us. And when everything was translated over, though, the Kyrie was kept. And most scholars agree that, for the most part, that the Kyrie it was deliberately kept just as sort of a nod to the early days of the church and our early Greek liturgies.
I would imagine you're almost going to have to start with us on Tuesday exactly what is sacred music. I can imagine, so we're going to have 30 or 40 people there. You could ask them, what is sacred music? And you're probably going to get 30 different answers. It's a different perspective. It's a personal perspective.
Yeah, for many people it is. For Roman Catholics, generally speaking, it ought not to be. We should all have a clearer understanding of what Roman Catholic sacred liturgical music is.
Yes.
Because it needs to be all of those things in order for it to work well at Mass. There's many ways to praise and worship God, for sure. And within the sacrifice of the Mass, we have a number of options that are given to us in church documents and in the general instruction of the Roman Missal that talk about, well, you can do this or you can do this. And so it's not that one way is wrong and another way is right per se, as long as we're still following the guidelines given to us from the mind of the church. But there's sort of more right and less correct and more correct. And we are asked to, because for the sake of authentic worship for our Lord, we're asked to give the very best we possibly can. And the church kind of lays out what that is. So with a little bit of effort, we can do it. It would be extraordinary if we couldn't do those things. However, many church musicians, many of my dear friends and colleagues from our diocese and from many other dioceses too, have learned about liturgical music, sacred music, experientially, and have not had an opportunity to go after a study of the documents or attend conferences or workshops or even pursue some sort of academic credentials in Roman Catholic liturgy. So there are those who say, oh, well, it's Christmas time, right? So I guess we're supposed to sing all Christmas carols. And that's nice, and that's wonderful, and that's great for us, but it's not what the church asks us to do. So as we dive in on Tuesday, this will be some of the stuff that we'll talk about, that we'll cover.
Chris, is this a result of the Second Vatican Council? Did your position exist before that? And the reason I ask, my family and I, we were parishioners at St. Peter's in New Brunswick when I was growing up, and we had an organist there, and he directed the choir. But we pretty much sang the same hymns every Sunday. I don't know that they were reading specific. And then, right around the early 70s, there was a folk group at the downstairs mass and the organ upstairs, and everything started. But as far as the focusing in on the music and what's proper, what's not proper, is that a result of the Second Vatican Council? Did this occur before then as well, or was it?
Yeah, that's a long, convoluted, complicated answer, Jim. But I'll try my best. The Church, especially the American Catholic Church, was in such a state of flux in the early 1970s with the issuance of the new missal, what we started calling the sacramentary. Before then, Mass. Well, up through about 1965, Mass was still completely in Latin. The 65 Missal was a hybrid missal. It was a mix of Latin and the vernacular that existed in a number of different countries. And then that missal got very little use because when 1970 hit, everything changed. But the changes in the music in the Mass actually started back in the middle of the 19th century, maybe even a little earlier than that, with the devout faithful, singing devotional songs and hymns while Mass was going on. The music was not a part of the Mass itself, but this is kind of how we arrived at, some musicians refer to it cheekily as the four-hymn sandwich. The entrance, the offertory, the communion, and the thing we all run out the door to at the end.
Yes.
But a discussion of sacred music, contemporary sacred music, and connecting it with Vatican II, it's a really important discussion because if one does an in-depth study of the documents that came from the Council, one who has learned about church music experientially over the last 40 years will scratch one's head and say, wait a second, what I'm reading doesn't jive with what I experience in my home parish. At least in most places, I think that's the case. Again, does it mean that it's wrong? No, not at all. Is it one of those degrees or levels of correctness? Hopefully, hopefully. But many lay Catholics have a misunderstanding of what came out of the Second Vatican Council. Some of the easy ones right away are, Vatican II did away with Latin. Well, of course, that wasn't true at all.
Right.
Matter of fact, even in modern documents that refer to the Church's reference of use of Latin, in many of the English documents, it's translated as, along with Gregorian chant too, as having pride of place. But the Latin is actually principem locum, which means first place. And there's a big difference between pride of place and first place. Thanksgiving time, pride of place is old Uncle Alfred, who sits in the corner, the patriarch of the family in his rocking chair, and when everybody walks into, they always go over and greet him and give him a kiss on the cheek, and how are you, Uncle Alfred? And then they go about the rest of the celebration, and Uncle Alfred sits there. That's pride of place. First place, principem locum, that's the guy who carves the turkey.
Okay. I love the analogy. So seasonal.
We're getting close to the holidays.
They are definitely two different things. And why that was translated as pride of place, that's I don't know. One can only speculate.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Oh, I'm just so looking forward to Tuesday. So stay tuned here for 1 second, friends. I have another question, and then we're going to give you all the details about next week. But would you say, at least from my experience, and a lot of times I'll get to go play at other churches, maybe there's a special event or there's a confirmation or I'm singing, helping somebody out. I feel like over it, generally, we've come a long way since Aunt Till was the volunteer organist, and she knew Holy, 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 Amazing Grace, and How Great Thou Art. And then those would be like recycled and reused. I feel like we've come a long way since then. Would you?
Yeah, I agree with that, 100%. We're in the middle of some marvelous times right now with respect to church music. It's sort of another, we had the Counter-Reformation 450 years ago, 500 years ago. and we're seeing what we refer to now as the reform of the reform.
Okay.
And a greater, I think many liturgists and church musicians now have a greater awareness of what the Second Vatican Council really wanted us to do, and what the mind of the church is for us in order for us to create and help bring authentic liturgy, and with respect to the holy sacrifice of the Mass, to our parishes, to our people, so that we can all move deeper into the mystery that is Jesus Christ, and the source and summit of everything, which is the Eucharist, that He gives Himself to us every time Mass happens. But I agree with you. I think I think we've come a long way.
And I think
part of what happened in the 70s and the 80s, it was very experimental. What's going to work? What's not going to work? And so much of what we did during that time, we discovered a lot about really what doesn't work. And so I don't want to call it a great 50-year experiment that failed, because that's not it at all. We definitely learned from it, and I think with the knowledge that we have garnered from that period has helped us come to where we are now, to have a better understanding of what we ought to be doing.
Right. It brought us to a better place. We still have room to go and grow, but and with that in mind, this evening that we're going to have on October 21, Tuesday at St. Magdalene's in Flemington, is not just, of course, we're talking shop. It's not just for choir directors and organists and music directors and cantors and choir members. I know that you gave this presentation to the deacons up at the cathedral, or they were having a day's retreat, and one of the deacons said, you have to bring him. You know, it's such a wealth of information, and it's for everyone. There are people coming on Tuesday, Chris, that said, I just love music and I want to know more about it, and maybe even read some of those resources. Why do we sing what we sing, and what does it mean, and what should we be doing? So this is for anyone who enjoys sacred music, and especially the music that we hear at Mass, and are wondering. And again, earlier Jim said, you know, as we get older, don't let go of education. There's always something new that we could be learning. So,
100%.
Yes, this is going to be Tuesday, October 21st. St. Magdalene's is 105 Mine Street, and it begins at 7, but please come early. We're going to have wonderful refreshments. My choir, they're great singers, but they're even better bakers. So
can't wait.
Yes, come at 6:30, meet and greet. You'll meet people not just from my parish, but from all over. There's plenty of room. It's a very large classroom. And Chris, what else would you like to add? Let's have you encourage people to come.
Oh, yeah, maybe just to reinforce what you just said, Cheryl, and that this workshop is for any and all. It's for directors of music and organists and anybody who's involved in a leadership capacity in their parish, and for those who function as music ministers in the choir or other ensembles, or for people in the pews who just have a greater interest, and for deacons and for priests and for other Christian non-Catholics too, who might have a curiosity about what Roman Catholics do at Mass musically and why.
Right.
We'll start with a discussion of, again, going back to ancient Greece and come forward in time all the way up to St. Severinus, who was the great translator, right, of the ancient Greek documents of Aristotle and Plato as well, and from whom we have a better understanding of the 7 liberal arts. The trivium and the quadrivium together, the way of the 3, the way of the 4, and how that has formed what we do now. And it's interesting. Gregorian chant actually isn't the start of Roman Catholic sacred music. There were chant styles that were earlier than that, such as Old Roman chant, that led us towards Gregorian chant and other styles of chanting. And thank goodness for Pope St. Gregory the Great, who reigned from...
Who sorted it all out.
590 to 604, I think, was when he was Pope, and he codified it for us, right? He looked at the church in Alexandria and in Antioch and in Rome and the the Gallican part of the world, and in England, the Sarum, where the Sarum Rite formed. And he said, hang on a second. We are one holy Catholic universal church. We need to be praying and singing and doing this all together.
Yes, and so do
thank
we.
goodness he held us together.
Yeah, and so do we now in 2025, which is why you need to come to this. You know, I did not pay attention well in school, middle school, high school, and history, oh boy, it was just at the bottom rung of my ladder. But now I'm trying to catch up, and I have such a great appreciation of history and thirst for knowledge. And it sounds like, Mr. Deibert, you're the one that's going to come and share your knowledge and wisdom with us next week.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, it's going to be fabulous.
Okay, and there's no charge, right? Is anybody
Oh,
able to-
absolutely. No
Anybody
charge.
can walk in.
No charge at all.
All right. Hey, Chris, we want to thank you for being with us today. And, folks, you have a chance to go to a wonderful event coming up next Tuesday, the 21st, at St. Magdalene's.
And if you have any questions, you need directions, or you're driving and you say, what day is that? What time is that? See Manfredonia at stmagdalene.org. You can find me, and I'll get in touch with you. Chris, thank you so very much. I can't wait to see you next week.
My honor. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, have
Thanks.
a good day now.
All right, friends, stay where you are. Be right back with more. Don't go away.
This is Monsignor John Kozar, National Director of the Pontifical Mission Societies in the United States. In northern Pakistan, a local priest provides an education to the children of sweepers, brickmakers, and day laborers. Father Khalid and his team of 5 religious sisters operate a network of schools that not only educate, but teach how to promote harmony between Muslims and Christians. Blessed are those who educate the poor, Father Khalid says. They will bring peace to the world. May each of us work to promote peace and harmony in our everyday lives and show others how to do so as well. It's a lesson from the missions.
Brought to you by the Pontifical Mission Societies. To learn more about becoming a missionary right where you are, visit our website at onefamilyinmission.org. Remember, if you're baptized, you're a missionary. Through prayer and sacrifice, in word and witness, we're all part of this one family in mission.
I was actually raised in the Catholic Church. I went to grade school through 6th grade, and pretty much about the time I went to high school, I stopped attending church and really didn't think much more about it for a number of years. The return to church, the Catholic Church, was somewhat of an evolution. I thought I knew what the Catholic Church believed and taught, but learned very quickly from somebody who knew far more about the Bible than I ever hoped to know. I learned that the Catholic Church, what it truly taught, and that's where I needed to be. I'm a recovered alcoholic and drug addict. Without God in my life, I'd probably be dead. God has literally saved my life. I feel like I'm truly on the road to the fulfillment of really all of my desires, which is ultimately to spend eternity in heaven with myself and my family.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Father Benedict Groeschel.
I often go back to my childhood. In church, we love to be reverent, to Christ present in the Eucharist, to Christ on the cross. But I was also impressed by our sisters who taught us in school to pray before every class, to pray for what we needed. Because we could be irreverent, we were taught to go to confession on Saturday and to ask ourselves, did we say our prayers well and without distraction? All this was reverence. Now what do I see? I hear one irreverence after another. And week after week, month after month, the media churns out things that make fun of religion in general and make fun of Christianity in particular, and particularly make fun of the Catholic Church. No class. Absolutely no class.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Everyone has to work through mounds of mundane stuff every day. Even the Pope has to rubber stamp a stack of papers today. The question is, what spirit do you bring to that stuff? I was folding laundry the other day for 6 kids. The mound was huge, and I was starting to get this terrible attitude. Arg, I don't want to be doing this. And I remembered a guy who reached out to our ministry anonymously through an email contact form. He was in a different continent, He said, "Can someone come visit me? I'm ill. I'm so lonely. I have no friends, no family." He was just reaching out to the internet in desperation. I almost started crying as I folded each shirt. Thank you, God, for the kid who wears this shirt, the wife who wears that dress. Listen, if you have work today, give thanks. And if you have people you love who you're getting to work for, give thanks even more. If you do, your work might still be kind of stinky, but at least you won't be. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Chris Stefanik just said the word stinky.
I think that's the first time you heard that word on
There
Catholic
are certain
radio.
words that, well, Chris, aside from all the other nasty words, but there are certain words that you don't really hear on our station. Stinky probably is one of them.
Yeah, that's
you don't hear it too often.
What was it Jim said last week? We were talking about the weather. He said something, and you said that's probably the first time we heard that.
Yeah. Okay.
Toilet paper.
Was it toilet paper?
I have no idea what we were talking about. So we'll just let that one go.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Okay, it's the end of the day, and it's Friday, and
No pun
we're
intended.
feeling it.
And I was thinking back as Chris was talking, when I went to St. Peter's, we were parishioners, and there was the main upper church, and there was a lower church at St. Peter's.
Yes, and is that what they did then? The organ upstairs?
The 10:15 Mass, there were 2 Masses every Sunday simultaneously.
So that many, number one, that many people
Going to
church.
Mass, and we were upstairs because David and my brother and I, we were readers and lectors, so
Mhm.
we were upstairs. And then downstairs, like, every now and then you'd hear like a tambourine.
Oh, lovely.
Because that's where the folk group was. And my friend Patty and Paul, they were the folk group down
How
below,
about
I think, at one point.
But you said too that you would hear the same hymns
Yeah, we would-
rotated.
yeah.
And I recall that I was in Immaculate Conception in Spotswood, and we had the same thing in the main church, the organ up in the choir loft. And this organist, I don't remember who it was. I mean, we're talking eons ago. And my friend and I were allowed to sit up there and just watch and listen. And it would be holy, holy, holy. Holy God, we praise thy name.
yeah.
Praise
Now
to the
thank
Lord.
we all our God.
Yeah.
Faith of our fathers.
Mhm.
I mean, they would. That's why I said I don't think there was as much emphasis put on that. It was, can you play the organ? Okay, here. Go ahead.
This is what you know?
Here's a few hymns people that people know.
Right. But then down in the cafeteria, because it was connected to the school, they would have the folk mass and the
Mhm.
guitar group. Whatsoever you do. Remember that one?
Yes.
Oh, staple.
But it was, again,
Prayer
think
St.
about it.
Francis.
And that was only, I mean, there was like a 7:30 Mass, there was a 9 o'clock Mass, there was 10:15, there was
Oh, so many.
11:30. I mean, it was, and to have 2 Masses simultaneously at the same time because there were so many people,
Mhm.
which, unfortunately you don't see today. But
Do you remember the hymn, Take Our Bread? Take
Yeah.
our bread.
Mhm.
Da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, they
Yeah.
would just rotate the small handful of
Yep.
folksy things.
All right, well, we're going to head on out of here.
so
So we
fun.
do hope that you have a great weekend. And don't forget, next Tuesday night is 7 o'clock at St. Magdalene's.
It is 7 p.m. Tuesday, October 21. And
You learn a lot about sacred music.
and maybe pick up a great recipe from one of my choir members.
All right, have a great week. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week. God bless you.
Bye now.